these are always fun because um, let's see, what have I done so far? I did um, my first one was with Micah Thompson, which was fun because he talks a lot. I did one with Micah Thomas, which was cool because he's just like he thinks a lot. Like he's like a very like thoughtful person, reflective person. Do you ever have that? Okay, so have you ever met people where like you ask them why they think something, and they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean you don't know?
Yeah.
Like
Oh my
what?
gosh. Oh, I'm having such an argument with somebody right now because they're like, I'm like, I made a comment with demons. And they're like, oh, I think demons are just mental illness. I'm like, why do you think that? And they're like, I don't know. I just can't believe that demons are real. I'm like, why? There's such strong evidence for it in the Bible.
I know, and like, I one thing I was talking with him about is the idea that he can't. It's hard to be friends with people that aren't like super reflective, people that don't really think about why they think things, and no, you're good. And like reflect on how they can be better and are more introspective rather than just like trying to have fun and just like do things. And I feel like I have that same thing where like there's people who just try to have fun. And I'm like, I can have fun with you, but I can't really be like close friends with you.
I totally get that.
Yeah. Um, but I think you have that. You definitely think about where you're coming from in a lot of ways, and you're curious about things. Also, I hate when people aren't very like curious about things. It's just like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't care?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. Oh, I have this question. The I've only asked this question once. I asked this to Sway a couple nights ago. Have you ever thought about what kind of conversations you like, the format of the conversation? Like, so for example, there is question answer. Like let's say I ask a question, you just give me like a direct answer to that question, and I just ask you another question. Kind of sometimes related, not always related. There's that. I call that just a question answer. There is a question and then comment. Like I don't know how you would talk about that, but it's kind of like a popcorn where like when I say something, you just say something off of what I said, like a comment off of somebody else's comment. Um, and it's kind of more impromptu rather than like necessary. And then there is uh, kind of like an interview one where it's more of like one person's asking the questions, but the way they're asking questions is kind of commenting. So like let's say I ask you a question and then I kind of challenge that belief with another question.
Hmm.
It's a little bit different than the first. And then there is kind of free flow. Like, I mean, I guess there's like a hybrid where it's like questions, comments, and then questions. Um, but I don't know. Do you have any idea what kind of conversation you prefer?
I mean, prefer. I think you'll have different types of conversations depending on the situation. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I haven't seen this person in a long time. I have a checklist of questions I want to ask him.
Yeah.
And those aren't ever too fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the second one you said, the like popcorn back and forth,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because then I feel like that really brings more out of the person that you're
Mm-hmm.
talking to and of yourself. You're just like, oh, yeah, here's all my thoughts, and give me all your thoughts.
Yeah.
And when it's time to move subjects,
It just happens.
that will either just happen or someone will. I guess at that point you could call it hybrid. Then someone will be like, oh, actually, I was thinking about this. What do
Yeah.
you think of
Yeah.
that?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had this. I've had this before where it's like comment, 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 and people are having like just a normal conversation, and then somebody else will come in and be like, "Oh, we should stop. Like we should move this conversation in a different direction." Or like, "I don't want to talk about this. Let's talk about this instead." And I'm like, "Sure, but that's just like, I feel like you can just naturally move the conversation that way instead of saying like, "Oh, our conversation isn't valid. I want to move it in a different direction."
Are you calling me out right now?
No, no, no,
Yes,
no,
I
no.
do that all the
Have
time.
do you do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, have you ever thought about just moving like slyly moving the conversation in a different direction rather than calling it out and like making the other person feel like the way they were moving the conversation is a bad way?
No, I mean, I'm a very direct person,
Mhm.
and I usually do that when like I feel like a conversation's shifting more into gossip. I'm like, I'll just be direct, like, okay, I feel like honestly, if I continue talking about this, it's gonna reach gossip levels. So let's talk about something else.
Well, that's fair. No, what I'm talking about is like when it's a conversation, let's say I'm having a conversation with you and there's like three other people in like the circle or something like that. Usually this is in like the jacuzzi.
Hmm.
And
Did
you
this
and I
happen recently?
it's happened over somewhere. You and I are like having a good conversation,
Okay.
and then all the other people in the jacuzzi aren't talking. But then one person who's not talking is like, "Oh, let's move this." Like they change it because they're not interested in the conversation that's happening. Have you ever had that happen to you? It's just because like it's not because it's going into gossip. It's just like, "Oh, I'm not interested in this. I'm gonna stop you two from having a conversation so we can move this conversation to what I'm interested in."
Yeah, I've done that too.
Really?
Well, here I'll give an example. Halloween night, I was sitting around the bonfire with two other bros.
Mm-hmm.
We were having some really good, deep conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what happened. One of them brought up King K. Rule, and the conversation just completely descended into those two just talking about Super Smash Bros. The whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I was like, all right, guys, I'm gonna go pee, and you better like not be talking about this when I get back.
Oh yeah, okay. So I actually see this because when I was with you and was the other kid Ethan? Who was it that you
There's an Ethan fella.
the one that you that was visiting and that you
Oh
flew
yeah,
back?
Drew.
Drew. Did he tell me his name was Drew? Wow, I
Maybe.
actually forgot. Sorry, Drew. And we randomly got into like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yep. And we were talking about it for a while. Is there any way? Because for me, oh, I need to charge this thing. This thing's about to die. For me, there is a way to like shift the conversation without like saying your conversation is less valuable. So like maybe asking a leading question about that is related to what they're talking about, but brings it in a direction that you would like to talk about, and then talking about it yourself. Have you ever thought about doing that?
I might have thought about it once,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, maybe that's something I need to work on. But like usually when I'm can tend to be a somewhat of a serious fella sometimes,
Mhm.
especially in conversations.
Yeah.
Or like I like to avoid like like conversations that are exceedingly dumb most of the time, and so there's so many times where I'll just find myself. I'll just be like, okay, this is dumb, and I won't say anything. I'll just like walk away, go on a walk, and be like, all right.
Yeah.
I'd rather just not even be part of this conversation. I'm gonna go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. I never really thought about it as a hurtful thing to the person. But
Yeah. And no, I see that. It's just for me, I've had a point where like I'm having a conversation And when somebody says, let's change the conversation, and I was enjoying the conversation as it was, it kind of feels like the other person is attacking part of who I am, because part of who I am is being expressed in the conversation, and they're saying that that's not interesting.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't know. It's like the direct nature of it sometimes feels like the other person doesn't care about maybe who I am, but I don't know if that's all of it. Because sometimes it doesn't feel like they're trying, because I mean there's some subjects where I can try to be interested in what they're saying, and no matter how hard I try, I can't be interested. But I am not a very like confrontational person. So like when conversations go like that are happening for a little while, I will just kind of sit there and chill. I'll still listen because I can be at least minutely interested in things that I'm not usually interested in. But like I don't know, especially when I don't understand things. Like my friends will have gone on about music for a little while, and I'm like a couple of those words that you were explaining, I have zero idea what you're talking about. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. But for me, I just kind of go along with it. But I don't know. You can come in. It's not. Try. Watch out.
Dude,
That was quick.
don't get in the way, Elijah.
But I don't know. I feel like it sometimes feels like part of it is maybe it's not that they're attacking me. Maybe it's that they're like complaining. Sometimes it feels like they're complaining. Like they're saying like, "Oh, you're not being like you should be having this conversation around something I'm interested in, and you're not, so that's inconsiderate." And I'm like, "Oh, part of me gets defensive, and I'm like, I'm not being inconsiderate. You were part of this conversation. You have the ability to steer a conversation. Like, you're smart enough to be able to steer a conversation in a direction that you would like. Like, it might be slightly difficult, but if you want it that badly, that's definitely a doable thing. And you're not you complaining that I'm talking about something that I like doesn't feel super valid. I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, I never really thought about that way.
Yeah. So the boba place, was there? Did you just hang out for the rest of the time after that?
Yeah, I was mostly just there, kind of bothering people. You know, they're trying to work, I'm trying to talk, and and yeah, there wasn't too much going on other than them just editing their little videos. One of them actually was like, "Oh, hey, I'm trying to get into weddings. I'm trying to do some photography and videography for weddings." And I was like, "Hey, no way. My roommate's getting married soon." So I call my roommate. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I already got people for that." So it's a shame, but I felt like that would have been a great connection. But too bad, didn't work out.
Yeah. And do you have you guys talked more about like managing the music guy? Or I forgot his name.
Mr. Darius.
Darius.
Yeah.
Sorry, Darius.
It was pretty brief. I looked into a little bit more today of what managing him in that way would look like, and he said he'd do it with me, like especially since like he wants it to kind of be tailored off of his ideals, and so at the start I'd probably just be like, oh, doing emails for him, getting times worked out and his schedule worked out for him. Um, but as it kept going, as I got my fingers deeper in whatever they were doing, I'd probably start scheduling like people for him. Like, hey, I feel like this person would be good. Let me get him on the show for you.
Yeah.
Or yeah, hey, let me find a producer for you, or something like that.
Yeah. Would is the podcast like having specific guests on and talking about like Christianity?
I don't know the exact topics, but yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a list of their guests, mostly names I didn't know. Chris Hilkin was on there,
Oh, nice.
but yeah, he was saying it's a lot of pastors from San Diego area,
Mhm.
so I think that's where they're starting at right now. Probably try to get like authors later too.
Oh, nice. Do you know if they're gonna video it, have like put it up on YouTube?
I saw a sample of their videos.
Yeah.
They have two setups. They have a 2 camera setup, so like one focus on one person, one focus on the other, and then they have a general. So they have like 3 cameras in the room. So they're really like,
Yeah.
it's a crazy setup.
I mean, cameras is good. That's what I want as a setup, because you can have one camera on one person.
Mm-hmm.
You can have one camera on the other person, and then you have one camera on both.
Yep.
So like you can have like, if I'm talking a lot, the camera can just be on me. If we're like kind of talking back and forth quite a bit, camera can be on both of us. And if you're talking a lot, camera can be on you.
Yeah.
And it's good for cutting angles and stuff, which is always cool. It takes a little bit more work to have multiple camera angles and all the cuts and stuff. But I mean, that is what the best podcasts do is pretty much 3 camera angles. And it's cool though, but I don't know. It's a lot of work to get all the equipment if I want to do like a podcast fully and right.
Yeah. It's just whether or not you double down in it.
Yeah, I know. I need to like get more into it. Like I feel like I have enough time. It's just like I need to edit this video and then go out and email more people and then film more videos and then edit and just do it. I like the conversations. I just don't like everything else. Like the actual YouTubing part is fun, and like the thumbnails and the titles and stuff is fun. But the editing and I guess finding people is fun. But I don't know. There's some stuff about this process that I'm like, I want to do really well, so I can just like hire people to do this stuff for me that I don't want to do.
Hey, well, once I get connections, maybe I can help you out.
Yeah. But I gotta actually make it a self-sustaining thing on my own before I start hiring people.
I'm not taking a paycheck.
Yeah. What? You're not taking a paycheck from him?
Actually, we didn't really discuss it, but I don't plan to. I was planning on calling it, at least for now, an internship.
Oh.
At least, I mean, then I could tell the school I have an internship in management, and boom, they'll give me my degree.
Will that count? Because I feel like it has to be. Is it like an actual company? Like, does he have his like? Do you need like a license to make a company or something like that? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know, but as long as I got him signing off, oh yeah, I'm doing work. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm learning.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Should be good.
That would work.
Yeah.
There's few things I wanna like cut off from YouTube, but I gotta make sure. I have a hard time like doing the things that I need to do. I probably need a manager.
Maybe.
Yeah. Once I have time. I also I was talking to I was listening to one of the sermons. Did I tell you? One of the sermons from Chris. It was like, you need to be connected to the church, and I'm like, oh, I need to be connected to the church, and like doing stuff for the church. So I talked to Chris. I'm like, oh, who do I talk to not work for the church, but like do
Volunteer.
stuff. Volunteer, yeah. And he said, go talk to Sarah. So, right, it's Sarah. And so I talked to Sarah, and she's like, oh, go on the church website. So I went on the church website, and I looked at a few things. I think I signed up for. Well, I was like, I'm interested in young adults, like volunteering for that, and for one other thing, and I can't remember what it was.
Outreach? Tech?
Tech, yes. Thank you. That's it's a good guess. It's saying it. And oh no, not tech. Sorry, it's close. So like social media stuff
Okay.
for the church. And so I did that, and then I also saw the internship, and
You thinking about it?
I'm thinking about it. So I said I was interested, and it starts like I think like May of next year,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes for like a whole year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's gonna be right when I get out of school.
Oh
And-
yeah, we're getting out at the same time.
Yeah, it's gonna be right when I get out of school. I'm not gonna be in like I won't be like in San Diego anymore with like I won't be for sure in San Diego because I won't be here at school.
Yep.
I'll be able to study under Chris. I'll be right next to College Ave. That is the housing on College Ave campus. And I'll have housing and it'll be fun. So I think it's definitely a possibility.
Dude, that'd be crazy if we did it together.
Are you for sure doing it?
For sure, as in
Next
as long as they accepted me, which I would be kind of shocked if they didn't. But yeah.
have you like done interviews or anything? Because I haven't gotten like any information. I haven't like gotten any acknowledgments back that that I said I was interested.
Yeah, no. All that happens next semester. I went through the
Oh.
interview process last semester
Yeah.
or last year,
Mhm.
last go around, and yeah, it was all back then. You like have a dinner at Chris's house. It's,
Oh, yeah.
and then they have one-on-one interviews later. But it's a whole process. But yeah, you'll hear about it more next semester.
But you decided wait. Oh, okay. And were you trying to get on for like last year? Wait. Last year?
Yeah, last year I was applying for it for this year.
Mhm.
But and I didn't really know too much about it. And I talked to the guy that's running, and he's like, "Yeah, just apply and go through the process and see what it's like. And then even if you don't do it next year,
Mhm.
you know what the process is like, and you'll be more prepared next go around." So that's what I did. Like when I was at the end of the interview process, I saw, oh, this isn't gonna work with my school, so I had to pull out.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but that's what it's like.
So what was the process like? Did you learn anything about like about being an intern? Did they talk about it a lot?
They didn't talk a lot about what the intern's day to day is because I think it's pretty dependent on what you're doing because you basically choose a ministry and they train you to go into that.
Oh.
Like, for example, there's a middle school, there's a youth, what's youth? I'm talking about kids. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, there's like all these different ages and different people groups that
Yeah.
they train you to meet. And so I don't know which one I'm going to do yet.
Mhm.
But yeah, I know some of the interns right now, and like one day they'll just have like classes or something. They have like debates with Chris and stuff, and
They debate him? Oh, that's fun.
I know, isn't it?
That's
And-
fantastic.
Yeah, and there's like an audience too. It's pretty cool.
What?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
So there's some fun stuff, and so it's like half of it, or I don't know half, but it's like part of it is you learn to do ministry. They throw you out there, they test you, and then on the other hand, you're out doing it, either whether it's leading like middle schoolers or
Mhm.
leading youth. But yeah,
That sounds like fun.
yeah, isn't it?
I wonder how much time it is. Like, did they say like what the time thing was? Like how much time you spend per week?
5 days a week, like a full-time job.
Really?
Friday and Saturday off.
Like 8 hours a day?
I imagine not.
Yeah.
I imagine, like, they didn't have an exact. No, definitely not 8 hours a day.
Mm.
It was a lot less because the idea is you can still be a college student
Oh, okay.
with the caveat being you should probably be an online college student if you're doing it,
Yeah.
because the hours are really strange. And so yeah, you can still do online school, and you can still get another job
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
or part-time job.
Yeah.
Like I know one of them, and he's doing that. He switched to online school, and he took up a part-time job. So
Oh, nice.
and he's doing the internship. So he's pretty packed, but
Yeah.
he's got time for it all.
Mhm. I wonder. So part of me is like I feel like I'm finishing school now, and I'm like, I had no wife. Like, I found nobody here. um, are there gonna be anybody like there? It's because I don't know. I feel like anybody who's willing to like do that and then also like focus on apologetics, I would very much get along with if they were a girl.
I mean, just getting involved with the church in general. Like if if you're working, if you're helping set up and stuff. Like I work kids.
Yeah.
And so every week I meet, and who's usually working kids?
The girls.
College age girls.
Yeah.
Every week I'm meeting a new girl
Yeah.
who I know their heart is for God, because why
Mhm.
else would they be here doing this?
Yeah.
And they care about kids.
Mhm.
And so like every week I'm meeting all these great people,
Mhm.
presumably. And so yeah, I mean I think that's just how you find girls in general, is just get involved with the church, because that's where
Yeah.
the girls you're looking for will be.
Yeah. Have there been any promising girls at like that you've met during working with kids?
Gotta say they're all very pretty.
Yeah.
They're all very kind. I haven't gotten to know any of them too well yet.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them have boyfriends too, so that's a shame. But I'm not there for the girls. I'm there for the kids.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I'm focusing on that.
Yeah.
When I'm there.
Did you? So you've been to the like Darius's group. Are you still going to that one?
I haven't gone this year.
You haven't?
No.
Why not?
Just been busy.
Yeah.
And like the one time I wasn't busy, I was like, man, I'm tired. So I didn't end up going, but
Yeah.
I plan to.
Are you going to any other ones?
Bible studies?
Yeah, yeah.
Let me tell you. Tuesday morning with Josue and Nathan Weeby.
Oh, you're going to that one. Nice.
I invited them. They're like, bro, that's too early. And then they ended up coming. And
I wanted to go, but then every time I wake up, they're gone or like they had just come back.
it's not open invite.
Really?
Yeah, it's like closed. They just want a small amount of people, so
Oh,
it's
interesting.
regulated. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that one's through the church as a life group. And then Tuesday nights, every other night, what's it called? Young Life.
Yeah.
Young Life Bible study. That one's pretty mellow.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday morning purity group. Thursday morning hall Bible study. And I think that's it this semester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any of them been any good? Any interesting topics?
I mean, always an interesting topic. And I mean, and like, I think it's 2 Peter that says, we gotta remind ourselves of like concepts over and over again to really just keep it ingrained in our head. So even if it doesn't get too deep, like, oh, we're not talking about prophesying, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if it's just something as simple as forgive one another.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why I needed to hear that week.
Yeah. Is it kind of the idea, Chris talked about this, that he doesn't ask the worship leader, I can't remember his name. Josh. He doesn't ask Josh to pray that people would learn something new, because oftentimes we don't, like the Lord isn't asking us to learn something new. He's asking us to hear something we already know, and like to remember something we already know? Is it kind of that?
In a way, I think each Bible study is a little different. I'll dive a little bit deeper. So like the Tuesday morning, we go over the message of the week from Chris,
Mm-hmm.
and we really just really dig into our own personal lives. Like, hey, like anger, for example. When was the last time you were angry?
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do different next time? And it's a really good group for like accountability, and we're just there to not just be like, oh, that's a cool topic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a group to be like, that was a cool topic. Now, let's talk about our own lives and how are we gonna change.
And that's the first group? That's Darius's group?
That's Tuesday night, or that's the Tuesday morning one.
Oh, I thought the Tuesday. Oh, Friday. Wait, which one's Darius's group?
Friday
Oh,
night.
yeah. Oh, you're talking about that one. Yeah. Got it.
Darius's one. I think that's targeted for like newer believers.
Oh, okay.
The way he kind of it's less of a like, most Bible studies kind of are communal.
Mhm.
This one is almost like he's giving another sermon.
Yeah.
And it's usually it's pretty good. It's can be a little surface level at times.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's mostly just because the people there are surface level.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. And but he asks really good questions in it.
Yeah.
And
He leads it?
yeah, there's
Oh.
a lot of worship. Like the worship will go on for hours with that group.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's like the best part.
Yeah.
Remember one time Aaron wanted to record it on my phone for some reason.
Yeah.
He's like, "Here, let me put your phone in the back." All right, and I was like so zonked that night. I was so tired, and like I look at my phone there, I'm like, "Bro, why do I have 3 hours of worship recorded on my phone?"
That's fantastic.
I had like the high res settings on my camera too.
Holy
and
crap.
everything. So I deleted that video. I was like, nah, get that off my phone.
You don't want to send it to Aaron and then delete it?
I kept it for like, a few weeks and he never asked for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you want to record that.
That's
Anyways,
funny.
it's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then okay.
Here, keep talking. I'm gonna make sure that thing's recording and then put the
Sure.
socks on.
And then the Tuesday night one, the Young Life one, that one, it's strange. It's like it's with a bunch of older folks, and it's interesting hearing their kind of like real life experience being brought into the Bible study.
Yeah.
But I always find it so surface level. I try to make it deeper by like being like, yeah, this is like something I see in my own life, but then no one else really does that too much.
Yeah, I know. The Young Life, I always struggled with that.
Yeah.
With bringing those a little bit more deeper than, I don't know, it feels like almost as if like the Young Life platform, you know how like in Young Life the like group things we meet is like it almost kind of looks not Christian.
Yeah.
Um
On purpose.
Yeah. Which I understand what they're trying to do. I don't fully agree with it, but I get it.
Really?
What?
You don't agree with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Christians are supposed to look different than the rest of the world. And making ourselves look like the rest of the world is kind of a bait and switch to me. Like trying to use looking like everyone else to get people to come to Christianity feels like it is not truthful. And when like people get into Christianity because they think it's just it's a little bit different from the lifestyle I'm living already, but it's not fully different, then when they fully see Christianity, they either become a cultural Christian, like I believe Christianity, but I'm going to continue doing what I'm always doing, or they reject Christianity because they're like, oh, this is not what I thought it was.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. That's kind of the part of the reason why I left. Also because I wanted to go to college, have young adults. and I have a lot of stuff Tuesday nights too. But yeah, so I think it kind of creeps in with. I have a feeling that sort of like, oh, we don't really talk about. I mean, we're talking about God, but not in like the same way. Like, not as like seriously, I guess. Like, I don't know, there's something different about like having a deep conversation about God than just like talking about God. It doesn't feel like the same merits. At least for me.
I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think part of that might be from Young Life. Like I wonder if uh like Young Life has talked with the leaders in the small groups and gave them like specific guidelines or specific ways to conduct the small groups instead of just letting them like just follow the spirit, like just follow the spirit in the things in the like meetings.
I don't know. Honestly, the only reason I'm still in that and I'm still doing that is I have great connections from Young Life. And
Yeah.
which might sound bad, but yeah, I've made so many great connections.
Just like in school, like friends, those
No,
connections, or what?
Like adults. Like the only like best month of my life was when I worked at Young Life Camp.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have happened if I never went to Young Life.
Yeah.
And so I do see something happening there.
Yeah.
And honestly, Young Life Camp was a great thing for the kids, I believe. So, yeah. Youth ministry is just hard. But it's weird because Young Life is a youth ministry, but they're here in college. I just don't feel like they should have a college.
No, I don't think Young Life should be a college thing.
Yeah.
Because like I know it like making us look not like the rest of the world works. Because like look at College Ave young adults. There's so many people that go to that.
They make it a little trendy.
Huh?
They make it a little trendy.
What do you mean?
Come get your matcha outside,
Yeah.
and they have all these fun little promo things.
But it's not like they bring sexual stuff into it. They don't like pretend to be like a frat party.
Yeah.
There isn't like only 5 minutes of sermon.
Yeah.
Like that stuff is kind of what Young Life does. That like there's less God and Christianity and more socializing in Young Life.
Yeah, I see that.
And in College Ave, it is, yeah, you gotta make one of the poles go where that's going.
Oh, I see. That's fun.
Yeah, or else it'll tip over because it's heavy. When in College Ave, they do a lot of God and Christianity, and the focus is less on socializing, but the socializing comes anyways. So I'm pretty sure it works.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, youth ministry is hard, man. Like, working with the kids, I'm like trying to make some kids talk about Harry Potter. I'm like, oh man, how can I make this guy think about God? So I'm like, okay, what about when Jesus did this? And they're like, yeah, but when Dumbledore, when he died, I'm like, okay, all right, let's think about it like this. I have to make everything Harry Potter for this one kid.
Yeah.
And I get Young Life and their method. Yeah, I'm like I said like a little bit ago, like it works for kids. I don't think it should be for anything.
College level.
Yeah, I think high school is like where it
Pushing
needs to where it needs to be chopped off.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I don't know what they do for. Do you know what they do for young adults for like elementary, middle school, and high school? Because I don't know what that looks like at all.
I mean, I worked at the camp.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to the day-to-days, like the normal clubs. And at the camp was was really great. I've heard great testimonies from it.
Yeah.
Like almost everyone that was working at the camp with me, they're all Christian because of Young Life. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so there really is something happening here.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't get to see. I never got to see in the sermons. Because I was just working the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that there were some people were touched.
Yeah.
There and so yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, bro. A kid today, he held up a TV remote to me. He's like, "I'm turning you on." I'm just like, "Shut up."
I just, whenever you talk about like Christianity and then you're like, I'm pretty sure some of the kids were touched. I'm like, whoa,
Stop.
whoa, Ethan.
Doesn't have to be like this.
This is not a Catholic camp. This is getting. Yeah, I had something else that I was thinking about, but then I completely forgot. Oh yeah. But you've never been to Hume, have you? Hume Lake?
Have once. It was an awful experience. Probably more so because of myself rather than anything else. But yeah.
When did you go?
I was very young. I don't remember.
Like middle school?
Maybe a bit younger.
So it was elementary. Were you in like wagons? Was it wagon train?
It was in cabins.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, how does Young Life Camp compare to that? But, because I love Hume Lake was like my spiritual regeneration week. It was definitely where I, like, one of the places that solidified my faith in Christ. Solidified like the idea that, so there's like two ideas for that like really brought me to Christ. I like grew up in the church, but I didn't really like fully love Christ, and I didn't really fully think that living for God was like the best way to do living. And those two things were the things that I think changed because of Hume Lake. One of them was comprehending what it meant by Jesus sacrificing his life and taking on the wrath of God, and that's what made me love him, like fully. And then realizing that living life the way God intends is the correct way to live life because he's the one that created life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started living. Don't open it fully. Watch that. There's a thing back there. Just watch that. You're good. No, you can go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you gonna take a nap?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a nap real quick.
He was just taking that for a while.
Oh, there we go. Sweet.
Oh,
Sorry.
wired guy.
What?
Wired earbuds guy.
Yeah, my pros kind of broke on one of them, and my AirPod Maxes are dead. So.
Shame.
Yeah, I know.
Dang. Do you have AirPods?
I do.
I feel like
my
I
desk.
never see you wear them.
I think it's kind of rude to wear them in public. You're just like, all right. La 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 la.
Well, I don't
like to
wear.
everyone else.
I pretty much never wear both in public. For me, I would just
Yeah.
put in one.
Yeah, no, I rather be fully present.
Yeah.
And the
I like that.
only time I wear them is like when I'm in my room.
Yeah.
Like I just don't want to bother my roommates with something I'm watching.
Yeah.
Or if I want a microphone, like I have this app called like Marco Polo. You like
Mhm.
send video messages to each other.
Yeah.
And I have a few guys where I have one-on-one devos with it. So
Mhm.
that I'll use it for that.
So, what was it? Hume Lake. That was really cool for me. So it was like that's probably some of the biggest transformation, and that's where I like found Chris. Is he was our Hume Lake speaker my like senior year. He was also, I think it was freshman and my senior year. We had him. I had him twice in high school, which was really cool. But yeah, that was really cool. What is the Young Life camp like?
I mean, from somebody who worked there as a summer staffer,
Mhm.
which is I'm not really involved at all spiritually with anybody.
Yeah.
Never get to see a sermon. Um, I get to watch the kids have a lot of fun. I get to help them have fun, make sure they're safe doing it. I worked on the ropes team. Um, and I worked in the ropes course. I worked in the kitchen. Um, I I just kind of served them in that ways.
Mm-hmm.
The most interaction I had from them was one group of kids was like, "Hey, come to our cabin, the graveyard. We're gonna have a ditty party tonight." And
What? That was wild.
yeah, and I was like, "What? What's that? What does that even mean?" And I didn't go because I'm like, I'm not pulling up to some camper's cabin right now. But that was the most interaction I've had from them.
That's
Um,
wild.
Other than like we all ate together. That was like the one time I really got to see them. Is when we ate, and they'd have a little skit. They'd be like, they have a little storyline going on throughout the camp.
Mm-hmm. Is it kind of like the Young Life skits, or is it different?
It's like Young Life skit, but with like actually thought out acts.
Yeah.
Like they'll go from camp to camp doing the same acts.
Yeah.
With the same people. So like they're, I don't want to say professional, but
They're good.
they're good.
Yeah.
And man, one of the craziest ones was the antagonist. What was his name? Jet Cartwheel.
That's such a Young Life thing. That's hilarious.
It was amazing. Like I laughed every time.
Really?
I'm not even kidding, bro. It was awesome. I was kind of sad. Like one time I was working, so I couldn't see like when Chet Cartwheel turned into a good guy. I was like, dang it. And I missed the storyline. I got to see it the next week though. Anyways, yeah. One of the funniest times was Chet Cartwheel came in with his song, and he grabbed some kid's water cup and just threw it at the kid. Or maybe he was a leader. I don't know. They were all pretty young looking.
That's hilarious.
But I was like, dang. So I saw these kids like having so much fun,
Mm-hmm.
yelling and screaming, and at the end of the day, they were being taught about Christ, and I really like it because it's so they'll go to the club, they call it club there too, which is like their chapel or sermons or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll hear about Christ there, and then they'll go back into their cabins at night, and they have their leader there, who directly can bring them through kind of what they heard, what they learned. They have one-on-ones with the kids, and then they go back home with the kids.
Yeah.
They're their area directors. And so I think that kind of connection is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard from like other people that's what Young Life is. It's not the sermons, it's the connection with their leaders. Like that's truly what makes it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Hume's like to compare it, but
Yeah. But you said it was did you say that was like some of the best weeks of your life?
that was the best month of my life was working there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best weeks of your life?
Yeah.
Really?
No phones.
Yeah.
Took away our phones. So, those quiet times when you're hanging out with people and you're like, dang. And you just go on your phone. No, we didn't have that. We were just like, oh, we just have to keep talking. And so I had some of the deepest connections I've ever had with people.
And was this with other leaders?
Well, yeah, just summer staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all people my age, basically. And, like, yeah, there's one guy still, like the Marco Polo thing I was talking about, like, he was like, yeah. He was like, growing up, I kind of thought Christians were lame. And he was like, I'm only here because my mom wanted me to be here. But he's like, he was Christian, but he didn't really care that much because he thought they were boring. He met me, he's like, dang, you're a really fun guy. And then I got to show him how strong I was with my faith. He's like, wait. And he would ask me questions like, wait, so you know all this stuff about Christianity and you're like a strong Christian, but you're also like a cool guy? What the heck? And so we had a great relationship.
That's so funny. That feels like the
His name is Brody
Brody
from Orange County. So
that feels like the stereotypical like like what people bring up when they don't understand or they're trying to explain sort of Christianity to younger kids. They're gonna be like, oh, you can still be like cool and like have a lot of like
Yeah.
God still loves fun.
Yeah.
Like God doesn't like God's a fun God. And he's like he really wants you to enjoy life.
Yeah.
But he's also there and he's gonna make you live life to the fullest. But he's also really, really cool.
Yeah.
And that I don't know.
It's a cliche thing,
yeah.
but like
Never had that happen before.
for like yeah, this guy like okay, I might have made his persona a little too much, but
It's for character. It's
at-
for the story.
Yeah, at the essence, that's kind of what it was with
Yeah.
him. He was like, yeah, all the kids, like I never had Christian friends because all the kids I grew up with, I just thought they were super lame,
Mm.
and they might have been.
Yeah.
I don't know these people. They might have been.
I mean, compared to you, they were
lamers.
probably so
Yeah,
lame.
you know. But yeah, I mean, this guy just got along like a jelly and peanut butter, and I love this guy, and yeah, I love Brody, but yeah, and through that, I think I was able to make him interested in Christianity. Like we read through Nehemiah, crazy book to read through. I'm trying to get some guy interested in
What's
the
in
Bible.
What's in Nehemiah again?
Nehemiah is the guy that rebuilt the walls after Babylon.
Oh, we do remember that.
And there's about 3 chapters of just lists.
yeah. Oh, I totally skipped over that. I
I
remember
bet you
reading
did.
through that book, and I'm like, there is no shot I'm reading this.
Yeah, no.
Completely skipped over that.
Almost every night we'd sit down and read the Bible. And mind you, Young Life worked us to our bones. We had like 6 hours off every week,
Mhm.
and every day we were working 14, 15-hour days.
Yeah.
Like it was exhausting. And we were like, all right, we're going to find time to have a Bible study because we want to do this. And we're like, all right, the book we're reading is Nehemiah. And we didn't skip those chapters. We read through them.
You read through
We
them?
read through
That is
them.
hilarious.
Yeah.
What were the lists about? Was it people?
People, there was like, oh yeah, here's the people that came back. Here's the people that built each part of each wall.
Yeah.
It's just like
Oh, I do remember.
Zebediah and his 2 daughters built the sheep gate or something like that.
That's
and
hilarious.
and like so it's just a full chapter full of that. It's just like, all right,
And he did that with you.
he did that with me.
That's so funny. That
But-
is fantastic.
But the end of Nehemiah is hilarious. Do you remember the end?
I can't remember.
So one of Nehemiah's big things was there's some really powerful moments in Nehemiah, but like they're like, oh man, we're marrying these people who are of different religions and stuff.
Mhm.
And he's like, everyone divorce. Like you need to like separate yourselves from your spouse because they're leading you astray from God. And he goes away. He goes back to Babylon for a few years, comes back, and he's like, what happened? Why is there prostitutes in the temple? Why are all you guys married to these evil people again? And he sees a kid who's like a half-born. He starts chasing him around. He goes up to guys and he just starts ripping out their beard. They're like, what have you done? What have you done? And
What have you done?
it's such a funny story. I don't think it explicitly says it, but I imagine Nehemiah's chasing the kid with a stick, like, get back here, boy.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. It's a hilarious ending. And the reason we read that book is I was just telling him, all right, yeah, he was like, something about Christianity being boring came up. And I was like, yeah, bro, some of the books are like crazy things happen. Like this guy just starts chasing kids around and like ripping out people's beards. He's like, we got to read that book. I'm like, all right, you said it.
You asked him.
So that's what we did. And yeah, but yeah, that was the best month of my life for sure. And I still talk to some of the people
Mhm.
from it. And
Yeah.
yeah, never been closer to people.
Ah, man, I wish you were in our group for SDSU Camp Love, because ours was like so genuine and so authentic. Like I'm pretty sure Darius, if it's Darius is the person that I think it is.
Darius was in mine.
He was in yours?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's some other guy. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, dude. I forgot
I
your
think
name.
I know who you're thinking of.
That
I forgot his
he has
name
like
too.
the bigger hair. Yeah.
That guy's
Um,
awesome.
That guy's great. He told me his name. I forgot his name.
Yeah. I did too.
And so yeah, we had like fantastic conversations. We were like all praying over each other and like getting super vulnerable. Like some of us like I think one guy, I can't remember who it was, like talked about self-harm and some really cool topics, and everybody was just getting so vulnerable. Like that was actually a fantastic besides the worship. So sorry for the worship leader.
Oh yeah, that was that was crazy.
Besides the worship, that Camp Love was fantastic for me. I loved that Camp Love. And yeah, I just got to know those guys really, really well. And like the other guy, Luke.
Yeah, you and him were tight.
Yeah, and I haven't talked to him since.
Same.
I need to. But yeah, that's my problem. Is I don't like follow up, and I'm not very intentional.
Text him right now.
I should.
No, right now.
Right now.
Do it right now.
Where'd my phone go?
No excuses. I don't know.
Oh.
Oh.
um,
I'll keep you accountable.
yeah,
Do it after this.
I'll do it afterwards. But yeah, I don't know. I am really bad at like remembering, because I always do stuff that is I feel is not immediately gratifying, but like is going to immediately benefit me in the future. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like things that I know for sure will have a positive benefit for me in the future.
Okay.
Or now. Sometimes I'll hop on TikTok or something, but not actually TikTok. It's mostly YouTube Shorts, or just YouTube. But like every once in a while, I'll do stuff like that. But most of the time, when I'm doing stuff intentionally, it's because I have like, I'm like, oh, I'm doing homework because I know I'll have to do this eventually, and I'm getting this done. Or, oh, I'm working out because I know this will benefit me in the future. Those kind of things that like, but like,
I thought your arms were looking big.
thank you, appreciate it. But I don't know, like reaching out to people. I think part of it for me is like I don't know if they're like available, so maybe it's a little bit of fear that like, oh, I'm gonna reach out to somebody and then they're not gonna be available, or I don't know. I've just never been like a super initiative person. Like I don't really initiate things. I always forget this word. But yeah, I don't really initiate things with people.
I feel like that goes back to kind of the first thing we were talking about. Like you were saying, yeah, you should just subtly change the conversation topic. Like, nah, I'm just gonna change it. I'm just gonna say it straight out.
Yeah.
That's the same thing I do with people. Is like, for example, I remembered a thought like, oh, when we went on our trip to what's that place called? Death Valley.
Yeah.
For spring break last year, somebody threw soda on Abby Brushwire's car.
Oh.
And it wasn't funny at the moment because then like it got all sticky and going up and
Aw.
down. It was like, but I like texted her the other day like, hey Abby, I just remembered your car got splashed on with soda. That was so funny back then. And like we had a little chat because of it. And
Oh, nice.
like the Brody guy, there was a few months where we didn't talk.
Yeah.
And I just thought of him one day. I was like, hey man, wanna read the Bible with me? He's like,
Yeah.
dude. And he was so happy. He was like, this was what he said. He was like, man, I don't know how much this is gonna help you, but this is gonna help me a lot. I was like, oh, sweetheart. Yeah. And yeah, it's I can name off like 10 more people where it's just like you just gotta initiate things.
Yeah. And I think this is actually part of
Podcast?
this podcast. Yeah, it is like a part of an excuse for me to like do stuff like that. I just haven't been doing it. It's supposed to be like, oh, I want to hang out and talk with you, but I'm gonna disguise it in like, do you want to make a podcast? Which I should do with girls. That would be fun. just like, it's not a date, it's a podcast.
Don't feel like that would get you the result you're looking for.
No, I don't know. But it's a thought. It technically has a possibility of working. But yeah, it was supposed to be more like an excuse to like grow deeper with friendships. But I was like busy and like, I don't know. I just have not done it. This is literally my first one I've done all semester.
Really?
And it's already been like we're already through a quarter and like through like 2 weeks in it.
We finished midterms.
Yeah.
Yep.
Granted, I've actually asked my roommates, and none of them have said yes. But
Really?
yeah.
Wow. Lame.
Yeah.
You know Christian?
Huh? Yeah. I asked Christian.
Yeah, I feel like he'd say yes.
Yeah. I think if anyone would, he would. I'm definitely gonna do one with him though. But yeah, I was gonna do one with Andrew Speakman. I think it'd be fun to do one with him. He likes talking. I kind of want to do one with. I want to do one with Blake just because I haven't hung out with Blake in a little while.
Togerson?
Blake Cherry. Is Togerson like a business guy?
Yep.
He's in my. He like has a business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just met him.
Oh, really?
Well, not I just met him, but I like kind of just started talking with having more conversations with him because he's in my Christian Faith and Natural Sciences class,
Okay.
and him and I are like the only ones that, not the only ones, but him and I are the ones that talk the most and like kind of debate with Lodal about points, which has been fun, and I talked with him. It somehow got brought up like his business, and like his business is crazy. He's like he can make like a bunch. Like he's got like a full legit business that will probably make him like a millionaire.
Oh yeah.
Or like a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Which is like, what the heck? You're like 20.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's with his dad though.
Oh, his dad. I thought it was just his mom that I thought he said just his mom is doing it.
Oh really? Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I remember. I thought freshman year I talked to him about it. He said he was doing it with his dad. I thought maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, that's really cool. What was I saying? Yeah, there's like a few people I'd like to have more conversations with. Bjorn said he wanted to do it, so I want to do one with Bjorn.
You don't even have to ask him questions. You just be like, and just sit there for the next hour and be like, all right, thank you for the recording.
Yeah. Interesting though. Like Bjorn, him and I were supposed to be roommates freshman year.
Really?
Yeah.
You knew him?
No.
Oh.
No. I was looking on Zeme to find
Oh wow.
roommates.
Did you know that's where my roommate met his wife?
Really? That is hilarious.
Isn't it?
That's fantastic.
Sorry, continue your story.
Oh, that's so great. And so there were 4 people that I like looked at to be my roommate, and 3 out of the 4 people, and I know 3 out of the 4 people. But they already had roommates. So the first person I think I asked was Elijah, but he already had a roommate. And I didn't know who he was. I just saw his profile, and I'm like, oh, he looks cool. And then I also asked Luke Springer. You don't know Springer?
Don't think I do.
Really? I don't know. I feel like your paths would have crossed. That's super interesting.
That's a shame.
So Luke Springer, and I asked Bjorn, and then this other guy who's also a hockey player, and it was like Caden Morrell or something like that. And nobody, I don't know if he ended up going to our school, because no, everybody I've asked doesn't know who he is. So I don't know. But yeah, so I was going to talk to everybody else had roommates, and then I wanted to. Bjorn didn't have a roommate, and so I was like, "Oh, we're gonna be roommates." We both said we would be roommates, but then we never ended up like going and like solidifying that we were roommates like in Workday. So then we just got both assigned randoms.
Who was your freshman year roommate?
I had Zach and Xander. Yeah.
Xander?
Xander.
Wow.
Do you know Zach Wilbanks? Tall, blonde, plays volleyball.
Yes.
Yes.
Really? That was the room?
Yeah.
That's a crazy room.
It was a crazy room. It was like, I remember the first time.
Zach's cool. I lived next to him last year.
Yeah, Zach's fantastic. I love Zach. He's like so chill.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like the epitome of chill.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. He's so great. And I got on a group chat with them, and they had already been in a group chat. And the first thing they asked me? They asked me how tall you are. They're like, "Hey, how tall are you?" I said, "I'm 6 foot." They called me a midget. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? How tall are you guys? And they're like 6'4" and 6'5". I'm like, what the heck?
Wow.
So that was wild.
This is the first time I've been the shortest person in my room too.
Really? What? Wait, so you have wait, who else is in your room besides like? Okay, I don't remember his name. I don't know why.
David
David. Yeah.
and Josh
Josh. Scott.
Johnson.
Josh Johnson. Do I know Josh Johnson?
Get you a picture. He drives a shuttle sometimes.
I don't go on the shuttle.
He has since freshman year though, so this guy, this fella.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember. He was at the. He was at the Halloween thing we just went to.
Oh really?
Was he not?
I don't know. I didn't go.
No. I no.
Oh.
Was
Then-
he not there?
Yeah, he was. He's the one that cooked for us.
Yeah.
That Halloween thing. I thought you were talking about the Goodwin Bash.
No. Did you not? What? Did you not go to the Goodwin Bash? Just didn't want to, or busy?
I saw some good memories associated.
What memories?
You know the memories.
Did you go with her?
Yeah.
And that's why it was bad?
Yeah. Basically.
Nice. That what does it say? Oh yeah, Zach and Xander. So that was fun. And what I always tell people that's interesting is with them, they got random roommates, but they were just like so intertwined with how I am, which was so weird. Like
Xander?
yeah. So,
Really?
well, no, just like sports wise. So like my top 3 sports at that time were volleyball, tennis, and ultimate frisbee.
Okay.
Zach is really good at volleyball. Xander's really good at tennis, and also was on the ultimate frisbee team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was random roommates.
Mm-hmm.
And like I barely know anybody that plays tennis or volleyball here. Like it's like kind of hard to like. I feel like,
Volleyball.
huh?
I think you just gotta open your eyes to find people that play volleyball here.
I don't know. Most people, when I ask them what sports they play, they all say soccer. Like I swear everybody plays soccer. And it's like, yeah, you played freaking AYSO growing up.
All your Saturdays over.
Oh, you say over? I always learned it as all your Saturdays occupied. That one's pretty good too, though. And oh, that room was fantastic because we had. Did you ever go in that room with us?
No.
So we had the. Were you in Nice?
I was.
Oh, who were you with freshman year?
Elijah.
And oh, was it you, Elijah, and Trevor?
Niece's only doubles freshman year.
Oh, I totally thought Trevor was with you guys.
Sophomore year he was.
Oh, okay.
For however long he was there.
Got it. But ours was fantastic because we had the study room, which was bigger than normal, and there were supposed to be 4 of us, but one of us dropped out, so it was just me, Zach, and Xander. So we put our beds against the wall, so we had more room than pretty much anybody else. We had an ocean view, and because they had a rule that if you had more than 2 people in your room, you got 20% off. Even though we had more room than most people who had 2 people in their room, we still got 20% off. Probably the best living situation like on campus.
Dang.
Freshman year, it was fantastic. So nice.
I'm gonna graduate without ever having a ocean view.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. Cry for me.
Yeah, I will. I'm crying on the inside.
Thank you.
Did you watch Inside Out too?
No.
That's a fantastic movie.
I'll take your word on it.
It was good. It's definitely worth the watch. Did you watch the first one?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Just another Disney movie.
Yeah. It's good. That's definitely worth the watch. What else is coming out? There's something else that I thought. Oh, there's 2 that I want to watch. The robot movie. Did you watch? Have you seen any movies recently in theater?
I have. But not that one.
What'd you watch?
Am I racist?
You watched it?
Mm-hmm.
How was it?
Pretty awful.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Just a bad movie?
Oh yeah. He tried too hard to be funny.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like he kind of made a point once, But the whole time he was trying to make it more of a comedy than anything else. Is like, okay, What is
Yeah.
a Woman was a lot better.
Really, you liked What is a Woman better?
Like okay, if you put that as just for argument's sake, if that's a 10, if it is,
Yeah.
then Am I Racist? And it's trying to reach that level,
Mm.
then it was like a 3.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Really?
Oh yeah,
That's good because I wanted to watch it and
you didn't miss out.
yeah. Who'd you watch it with?
Tate,
Just you and Tate went?
Wiley had a movie night. We watched Into the Spider-Verse,
Oh,
And
the
then-
first one?
yeah.
Nice.
and then afterwards we're like, man, we both still have energy. What do we want to do? And Tate's like, let's see if any movies are running. He's like, this one's running, this one's running. I'm like, oh, let's watch this one.
Yeah.
And we go, and it was like, it's pretty bad. There was like one good scene.
Was it boring or was it
It was just kind of
like
cringe.
cringy? Yeah.
Like he was just kind of being argumentative and like causing problems when, I don't know, he was kind of being immature.
Yeah.
Honestly.
That's so funny. I feel like that like characterizes a lot of politics nowadays. Is people are just so immature about it.
Yeah.
Like nobody can admit when they're wrong about something or admit that there's nuance to things. And like they're just trying to get reactions out of people. And especially like right now during like election season, I've been watching so much politics. It's actually really bad. It's kind of addicting, but it's almost over, so yeah. So like everybody, I've been watching debates and some people are just so childish in debating. They just don't, they're not like nuanced. They're not willing to like take somebody's point and like say, oh, that's a good point. Or like, oh, I'll think about that. They'll just come back with some other random crappy thing that doesn't mean like anything. And it's so annoying. I hate this. Like some people do not know how to debate and have discussions.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
You know, I'm not a fan of politics. I just
Yeah.
kind of avoid it at all costs these days. Just like, all right, I don't think as a Christian I should really be worrying about this too much.
Why not?
Because I understand it this way that we never really left Babylon as a society,
Mm-hmm.
like as a people. Like we went to Rome, we have underclass citizens there. Christianity at its origins with the Promised Land was supposed to have its own land and be great and rule, but we messed up and
Mhm.
God sent us to Babylon. And yeah, we kind of rebuilt, but not really. And ever since then, we've just been trying to live in the world, you know. They
Yep.
say there's 3 sources of evil: the flesh, the world, and Satan. And
Yeah.
yeah. And
What do you mean sources of evil?
what is evil? Okay, if we're really getting into this, evil is whatever is not God,
Mhm.
essentially at the end of the day, because God is good.
Yeah.
Goodness is God, or not that. God is good,
Yeah.
and everything that is good comes from God, and so everything that is not good does not come from God, and so since the fall of the world,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay, so Satan was the first to do evil, you know, and he made the earth fall, and he made
Did he make us fall, or did he like? I feel like he encouraged it rather than
Sure.
he made it fall.
sure you can say it like that. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
And flesh, you know, he and with the fall, the world fell, and so did the flesh.
Mhm.
From my understanding,
Yeah.
I might be missing something, but yeah. So
So would you say something that is the source? Were we saying source of evil? Was that what we were saying?
yeah, the 3 sources of evil these days is the world, the flesh, and Satan.
Mhm.
And for us to create a Christian society, so to say,
Mhm.
a true Christian society, our own government, and all that, that would be to eliminate, in a sense, the world as a source of evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that we can do that simply by electing the right person.
Yeah.
I think God has to come in himself and he's going to defeat them all kind of at the same time. Or I don't know. I haven't memorized Revelation. Maybe he does it systematically. Maybe he doesn't. Regardless, I think it's up to God to defeat it, not up to Christians to defeat it. And
So do you think it's wrong for Christians to try?
in a way, yes.
So do you think it was wrong for Christians to try to abolish slavery?
No.
Why not?
Okay, so I feel like that's a slippery slope. Being like, okay, Christian, okay, can Christians do good in the world? Yes, they can do good in the world. If you were at Sunday this morning, Chris was talking about most of nonprofit is funded by Christians.
Yeah.
And so, yes, Christians do good in the world, but will we have the power to actually change something? Or I guess maybe that's a bad way of putting it. We definitely don't have the authority to change anything like that.
What do you mean?
We don't, like, a single Christian can't just one day say, oh, my flesh is now going to be good.
Yeah.
Just for example.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the authority or the capabilities to do that. He can try to kill the flesh every day, have on my hand, die to self. And every day he can go to war with his flesh, but he can't just wake up one day and be like, my flesh is good. And, you know, some people do that. They say, my flesh is good. And that's how we have pride. That's how we have adultery and this and that. But yeah, going back to, like, was it wrong for Christians to try to abolish slavery? No. I don't think that Christianity should just, like, watch. But I also don't feel like we should pick up pitchforks and fight either.
Well, do you think that's what people are doing when they're getting into politics?
No. Not exactly.
Hmm.
Like, if someone did try to run as a purely Christian candidate, I'd vote for him, probably. If he was, probably, I assume. Unless there's a reason not to. And that'd be great. And that'd be totally within his rights. But, like, I don't think God wants us to pick up pitchforks and fight the government. Actually, I don't really think God cares that much at all. Because if you look at, like, what did Jesus do when he came? Did he mention politics really at all? He was asked about it. He was like, should we pay taxes? And he's like, bruh, yes. Yes, you should pay taxes. I'm the one that instated the authorities over you.
Mm-hmm.
So respect them. Because by respecting them, you're respecting me. And then you can look at, okay, when was that broken in the Bible? Let's look back to Daniel. You know, Daniel was due to Babylon, prophet, and Daniel won. They're like, here, have our meat, and he's like, no, I can't eat your meat. It's not, that's like unholy meat for me to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, I'm just gonna eat veggies. And the dude over him's like, bro, the king's gonna get so mad if you just eat veggies. Like, trust, bro. He's like, he asked for permission. He's like, may I just eat veggies? May I just eat fruits and veggies? And in turn, God made the guy over him and be like, okay. God made the guy say okay to it. And what happened? Daniel was the strongest out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I think God wants us to play within the government, like bend a knee to it, you know. Not the same knee that you bend to God, but you metaphorically bend a knee to it, you know.
Submit yourselves to the ruling authorities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But do you think engaging in politics is not just the same as submitting yourself to the ruling authorities, but also giving your opinion and voting?
I'm not an expert, but I don't think it's worthwhile.
What do you mean?
Like, let's look at what Jesus did when he came. And back to that. Not once did he say, slave masters, abolish your slaves. Or did he say, okay, here's what the taxes looked like in Rome. They had a breathing tax. They had a tax to cast your nets. They had a tax for how many fish you caught. They had a tax for how many wheels you had on your vehicle, like your wheelbarrow or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had a tax for just about everything you can imagine.
Yeah.
And Jesus wasn't like, nah, cut out those tax laws. Those are bad. Those are unholy. He never brought that up. He's like, just love one another. And I think Christians can get so caught up in like, oh, the government's evil, we got to fight against it, that they get to a point where they're not even caring about Christianity anymore. Like, I know people, and I tell them, honestly, I look at your life, I see you, and you're more of a Republican or you're more of a liberal than you are a Christian.
Mm.
And I've heard them say, well, at this point, there's no difference. I'm like, yes, there is. There 100% is.
There very much is.
Yeah.
So maybe do you think your problem is the idolizing of politics over God rather than politics itself?
I mean, I'm sure that's part of it. But
Because do you think that there are some benefits to engaging in politics that God might want us to use to better society, better, and like maybe protect those who cannot protect themselves?
Honestly, I don't really think so. Like, if, kind of like what Chris was saying in church today, if God really wanted us to just be able to fix things, like, oh man, or like Zimbabwe, I don't know. I don't know the economics of Zimbabwe, but let's just use it for example. Zimbabwe, oh, they're dirt poor. All the kids are eating dirt. You know, they're only drinking like Mountain Dew, um, intoxicated waters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh man, if only a Christian who cared about this was at the top of the government, then we could fix these problems in Zimbabwe. But God hasn't put someone there that's doing that. If God really wanted to, if that was what he really wanted us to do, to steal Chris's example, we could dig up a massive diamond in our parking lot and be like, we're going to use this money to go help Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what God really wanted, he would supply it to be like that. And that's not to say that Christians shouldn't try to do good. It's just to say that we shouldn't step out of line almost.
Don't you think that's idolatry, though? That's what your problem is. What you're saying is just when it becomes more of an important thing in their life than God. Isn't that the problem?
What do you mean?
Like you said, they shouldn't step out of line. Wouldn't that be them idolizing politics over God?
No, not at all.
How so?
I don't have to. If I'm working for somebody, if I'm in a company and I have a supervisor and like he's telling me, hey, I want you to package things like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, that's an awful way to package things. But this guy's worked here for 20 years. Like, me stepping out of line or me staying in line isn't idolizing. It's been like, all right, I'm respecting your authority over me.
Mm-hmm.
And even more so with the government, because the Bible directly says, I think it's Romans 16. I think it's 16. Around there. It's like, I'm the one that put the governments there.
Yeah.
So you better respect them.
Mm-hmm. But if, let's say, you were in that package place and you were packaging and you thought it was the wrong thing, but they also have a voting system where you can vote to make the packages the other way. Is it wrong to put in your vote to make the packages the other way?
No.
So is politics not just being informed on making sure you know what you're voting is correct? It like if done right, is politics not just that?
I mean, I think Christians can vote. I think if you are to vote, you ought to vote for what you think is the best candidate. But I believe firmly, it doesn't actually matter all that much because God's the person choosing, like electing governments, anyways.
But don't you think he uses the people voting?
Yeah.
To put them in place.
Yeah, he can use whatever he wants. And like I said, I think you ought to vote for the person who you feel convicted to being the best. But I don't think you should care too much.
Mm-hmm.
Sure you could vote.
Oh yeah. No, I agree.
But I don't think you should care too much. Like, oh, my candidate didn't get elected. Oh, America's doomed.
Oh yeah, that's dumb.
That's where I'm at. It's like
I think that's unchristian. I think that just is, not trusting God, that God has a plan and that God's in control.
Exactly. Like, I'm not saying Christians should just sit there with their Christians should just sit on their hands.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it should be too much of a concern either.
So do you think, going back to slavery, do you think that should have been too much of a concern for Christians?
Okay, honestly, from my understanding with how slavery was abolished, there was already a civil war going on, and who was the North guy? Who was the president of the North?
The North is Abe.
And Abe was like, and there was a lot of strategic reasons to abolish slavery. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
if I abolish slavery, then all the slaves will come fight for me. And there's some other stuff going on. And so I don't see it as Christians did it, but rather the governing authorities did.
They were a big part of it, though. Christians were definitely a big part of going against slavery.
Really?
Yeah, there's quite a few Christians.
I know there's the Quakers.
Yeah, there's Quakers. There's people in there's like British Christians who were against it. There's a lot of different. I mean, there were non-Christians that were against it, but like some of the big leaders for abolishing slavery were Christians.
Yeah, I don't think Christians should. I mean, it's kind of goes back to it. Like, I don't think Christians should sit on their hands, but I also don't feel like we should pick up pitchforks to make change.
Yeah,
like we could still try to make change, but
no, I agree.
Not to go to war for it.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what politics is at its core.
Yeah.
So I don't think politics is bad.
That's cool. I don't know. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he was like, the way he was talking is like, man, I'm so happy you don't have a gun. Otherwise, I'd be concerned for some politicians' lives right now.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Politics is very, very interesting because I have changed my opinion on political topics more in the past, like, couple months than I have, like, ever.
Really?
Because I've been actually looking at debates and discussions on topics in politics rather than just looking at one side's perspective, and being able to see where they both agree and like what they concede to each other fact-wise, and then what they disagree on is super helpful because like when you only get it from one side, you like assume certain things, but like sometimes when they're like challenged or when one side says like if a liberal says something and the conservative like who's actually knowledgeable, like Ben Shapiro, like I was watching a Ben Shapiro Destiny and also a Ben Shapiro Sam Harris debate, and like Sam Harris or Destiny would say something and Shapiro was like, oh yeah, I agree with that, but, and I'm like, oh I didn't know that was an actual thing. Like I didn't know that was a confirmed thing. And being able to see where they both agree on facts is very, very interesting and has changed my mind on a lot of different stuff. And it's a lot more nuanced than a lot of people think. And it's a lot more nuanced than I thought it was. Like even like a couple months ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's wild though. It's hard to navigate.
Yeah, no, I just choose not to touch it.
And that's fine. I just don't. I don't know if it's the best to automatically discredit people who do go into it without knowing their intentions, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. I've just seen it being idle in too many people's lives, and it's just scary. It's
Yeah.
like, dang. And then they justify it by saying, "Oh, this is good because X, Y, and Z."
I think people take it too far and they make it an idol. And I think that, for me, that's the root of all of the problems is when we do something with politics that God calls us not to do or God doesn't call us to do, which is, in my opinion, idolatry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's a good way to end it off.
Dang. That's a shame.
Why?
I don't know. I like talking to you, Luke.
Well, we can keep going. How much time do we have? I don't know. It felt like a natural close.
So how much time do I have? Oh yeah, I'm basically out of time.
Yeah, I need to go get food. I haven't eaten dinner yet.
All right. Well,
That's fun.
hey,